Over the years, Drake proved his dominance over mainstream hip-hop, going from a child actor to one of the top-selling hip-hop artists of all time. While just a few years ago he seemed unstoppable and was a hit-making machine, today he is struggling to get back to his #1 spot, a position that most people will agree was stolen from him by Kendrick Lamar after the world chose his side in the beef. But why exactly did Drake's downfall happen so abruptly? Was it really just Kendrick Lamar's diss record that hit him like an atomic bomb? Or did Drake plant the seeds for his own demise through his own actions? The story behind Drake's rise and fall shows us exactly why the entire industry turned on him, and why most might agree that he deserves his downfall. Today, we will explore Drake's start in the industry and his questionable behavior from the beginning of his career. We will also discuss his label's role in his fall from hip-hop grace, and also his sinister side that most are unaware of, revealing why not only the fans turned on Drake, but the industry as well. Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to The Truth Is, where I drop new videos exposing the truth weekly. In today's episode, we will be discussing the rise and fall of Drake and telling the story of what led to the demise of his career. Let's get right into it. Drake was born on October 24, 1986 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. His mother was a school teacher and his father was a drummer for Jerry Lee Lewis. Drake's parents ended up getting a divorce when he was only 5 years old. He and his mother ended up staying in Toronto while his dad moved to Memphis. His father would travel back to Toronto every summer to take Drake with him to Memphis, until his father ended up getting arrested for drug-related charges and spending a few years in prison. Drake would then move in with his mother to Western Road and then again to Forest Hill in the year 2000. Forest Hill is known as an upper-class town within Toronto. Drake would start attending Vaughan Road Academy, which wasn't an easy school to get into, being a school for wealthy families. He claims he was bullied while attending the school due to his race. He eventually would end up dropping out of school, feeling like he wanted to be an actor instead. When Drake was 15, a school friend introduced him to his dad, who happened to be an acting agent. His friend's dad managed to get Drake on Degrassi: The Next Generation, where Drake played a character named Jimmy. Drake claims that his mother was sick at the time and unable to work, so he supported her with the money he made from acting. While Drake was acting, he would start developing a love for rapping after being inspired by the Clips and Jay-Z. He would often arrive late to the set due to late nights at the studio. And in 2006, Drake would release his first mixtape, Room for Improvement. He used his acting money and connections to acquire verses from Trey Songz and Lupe Fiasco. The mixtape didn't really get much attention, only selling about 6,000 copies, making Drake about $300. In 2007, Drake would release his second mixtape, Comeback Season, not long after he created OVO Records, and would release a song with Trey Songz named Replacement Girl. The song would end up on BET, getting Drake the much-needed attention he desired. The song sampled a Flo Rida and Lil Wayne song, which forced Jazz Prince, who was Drake's manager at the time, to give the song's royalty to Lil Wayne. After Wayne heard the song, he decided to remix it. Wayne would later invite Drake over to Houston to join him on the Carter 3 tour. During the tour, Drake and Lil Wayne would start recording a bunch of songs together. Even though Lil Wayne hadn't signed Drake yet, he stood in contact with him. And in 2009, Drake would release his mixtape So Far Gone, which he made available for free download on his OVO blog site. This mixtape was packed with big-name features, including appearances from Lil Wayne, Bun B, Omarion, and Lloyd. This mixtape was his first commercial success due to 2 songs on the project, Best I Ever Had and Successful, both of which went gold and peaked at #2 on the Billboard Hot 100, even winning the 2010 Rap Juno Awards. Due to the success of the project, a bunch of record labels went into a bidding war to see who could sign Drake. It is rumored that it was the biggest bidding war in rap history. Drake would end up signing a deal with Lil Wayne's Young Money Records, prompting the beginning of a long, luxurious rap career. He eventually became the top-selling artist in the digital era, going on to break numerous Billboard records, including the most #1 hits on the R&B/hip-hop charts, solidifying his status as a top contemporary artist in the genre. He became the most dominant force in the streaming age, surpassing Eminem as the highest certified single artist in the RIAA history, and was the best-selling rapper by total album units in the US in 2024. Drake was on top of the game and he was getting awarded for it. He would end up being nominated for a Grammy 55 times, winning 5 awards. There was no doubt in anyone's mind that Drake was the biggest in hip-hop. He further proved this when Meek Mill dissed him for using ghostwriters, and Drake responded with a diss song that not only nearly ended Meek's career, but became a massive hit song. Drake had used this beef to cement his dominance in hip-hop, not knowing that rap beef would be the very thing used to destroy his dominance. Drake saw his first massive L when Pusha T dissed him and called him a racist deadbeat dad. When it came turn for Drake to respond to Pusha, he gave up on the beef when he realized it wasn't going in his favor. But fortunately for Drake, it didn't really affect his career like that at the time. He would move on from this by dropping several hit songs showing he was still that guy. But what Drake didn't realize is that Pusha showed that Drake was vulnerable and that with the right attack, he could be taken down. Fast forward just a few years later, and Kendrick did what Meek and Pusha couldn't. He brought down Drake and damaged his reputation forever. Now, like I said multiple times, I believe this beef wasn't a real authentic beef. Later in this video, I will get into why this beef was more political than people think. Not saying Drake and Kendrick don't like each other, as they probably don't. But the beef itself was part of a grander plan orchestrated by the record labels to dethrone Drake. We will get more into that later. Since the Kendrick and Drake beef was covered millions of times, I'm not going to get into the details of it. But to make a long story short, Kendrick called Drake a certified PDF file and accused him of liking them young. In Kendrick's diss song Not Like Us, he can be heard rapping these lines aimed at Drake. Say Drake, I hear you like 'em young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. To any girl who talks to him and they're in love, just make sure you hide your sister from him. In another line, he calls him a certified PDF file and also calls out one of Drake's OVO members, Baca, referring to a prior arrest of Baca for allegedly trafficking. Baca was arrested in 2015 and pleaded guilty to SA charges. When he was released, Drake signed him to OVO in 2017, even though he had been in prison for said charges. After Kendrick made these allegations, the internet exploded. People were now looking at Drake differently, wondering if Drake was just like Diddy behind the scenes. While the world was shocked about these allegations, many on the internet weren't really at all surprised. The reason is that those allegations made against Drake weren't at all new. I actually exposed those very same allegations before Kendrick, almost 4 years ago now. Drake has actually been caught several times in questionable relationships with very young girls. Drake's questionable behavior with young girls goes back to the very beginning of his career when he first got in the game. For example, all the way back in 2010, Drake did one of the most questionable and inappropriate things he could do, especially with the allegations Kendrick made. In this video from an old Drake performance, we can see the Sixth God bring up a 17-year-old girl on stage and then proceed to kiss her and grind on her while singing one of his songs to her. When she told him she was 17, Drake responded with, "I can't go to jail yet, man. Why do you look like that? You're thick. Look at all this."
Y'all gonna have me getting carried away again. I get in trouble for shit like this. How old are you? Oh, that's feel guilty or not, but I had fun. I like the way your breasts feel against my chest. I just want to thank you.
As you saw for yourself, Drake not only confirms that she is 17 and he can go to jail for messing with her, but he still proceeds to flirt with her and even kiss her. This video alone seems to confirm what Kendrick said in that diss song and what many of us have been saying for years. Drake is into them young. He himself made that pretty clear in this video. Drake has continued with this inappropriate behavior until this very day. In 2018, it was reported that Drake was dating an 18-year-old model by the name of Bella Harris. He was 31 at the time. I know 18 is legal, but he was reportedly hanging out with her when she was only 16. Putting 2 and 2 together, it would be safe to assume that he was most likely attracted to her while she was still 16. And who knows what he could have done with her in private while hanging out with her at that age. This has led many people to assume Drake was grooming the teen to hook up with her when she turned 18. I wouldn't be surprised if Drake had been messing with her since 16. It is also rumored that Drake dated Hailey Baldwin, now known as Hailey Bieber, when she was only 19 and Drake was 29. Again, he seemed to have befriended her and started hanging out with her when she was only 14 though, raising questions of what Drake was doing hanging out with a 14-year-old in the first place. Drake was also caught messaging Millie Bobby Brown, who was the child star from Stranger Things, when she was only 14. She told an interviewer that she loves Drake and that they text frequently. She said Drake contacted her just the other day, telling her how much he missed her. Drake was also contacting Billie Eilish while she was underage as well. A couple years back, fans called out Drake after Billie Eilish revealed that he had been texting her. She admitted that she talked to the rapper on several occasions, and pictures of the two started circulating. Honestly, to me, it's pretty clear what Drake is into. All of this behavior paints a vivid picture that Drake shouldn't be trusted around young girls, as he clearly likes them young. I find it interesting because we know Drake himself was a child actor. If you've seen the Quiet on Set docuseries that was released last year, you would know that many child actors were taken advantage of in the industry. Last year, we saw Nickelodeon actor Drake Bell come out and expose a man working in Hollywood for taking advantage of him. Drake Bell then went on to be accused and pleaded guilty to messaging a girl under 18. I believe Hollywood turned these kids into monsters, and Drake, before he was a rapper, was an actor in the industry full of sick people. After seeing this, Kendrick's claims about Drake being a P-word seem pretty much validated to me. I wouldn't allow Drake to watch my little sister, that's for sure. This video was already looking bad enough for Drake, but things are only starting to get worse for the rapper. Not long after Kendrick called out Drake, this woman made this TikTok video with a very interesting story about him. According to this woman, she claims that back in 2011 through 2015, Drake would allegedly invite high school girls to come to his house.
Rich women between like 28 and 33 right now living in LA who have had interactions with Drake can bring him down. They can be the nail in the coffin. So listen, I went to high school between 2011 and 2015, okay? In that time, and I went to a very rich, white, private high school. And during that time, I heard of girls or girl sisters going to Drake's house. We're in high school, okay? And maybe they weren't freshmen, but still, you're still 16 to maybe 18-year-olds, but you're 16, 17 years old going to this grown-ass man's house. If you look at birth here and look at those years, he was between 27 and 29. He was 29 in 2015. So I know that there are a lot of people out there, maybe with some memories, that it's hard to look back on and be like, holy f***, I was a child. And there was a power dynamic, and this is me being taken advantage of. But you guys need to step up and cancel Drake and like just end it. Just end his shit.
As you heard for yourself, this woman makes these allegations and urges Drake's young victims to come out and expose him. She claims that many of her high school friends were hanging out with Drake at his house. You can imagine what they were up to. When I heard this, it reminded me of a man who used to fly high school girls on his private plane to his private island. I think his name was Jeffrey. This seems to be the way for rich, powerful people to recruit young girls for their freak-off parties. Whether this woman's allegations are true or not, we will have to wait and see. I couldn't find anything else about this woman or her claims, but she didn't seem like she was lying to me. Maybe some of those girls she was referring to will come out and talk about what happened with Drake. For all we know, she could be telling the truth, or she could also be lying. I will leave that up to you to decide for yourself. I myself believe her claims, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. A year back, this woman called Little Cece did an interview with Adam22 and said some things about Drake that are now very interesting. Little Cece is a music producer who made the beat for Drake's song Money in the Grave. During her interview on No Jumper, Little Cece explains to the world how she met Drake, and what she had to say is rather concerning.
Okay, so the Drake thing. You met him, when did you first meet him?
So I played basketball, right? So he really was a fan of supported one of my teammates at the time. And
this is when you're in high school?
Yeah, in high school. So
And this is when you're in high school?
Yeah, in high school. So
he was a fan of women's basketball, high school basketball. I was her teammate, so he followed me because of her. Followed me, and I lost it. I'm like, I have to meet Drake. Like, I love Drake. I've always loved Drake, still love Drake. So basically, he followed me. Maybe a year later is when I built up the confidence to like message him on like some working stuff, because I was 18 when I messaged him. And I DM'd him like, hey, I make beats. Like, can I send you some beats? Like, no. I just wanted him to say my tag. Like, you don't have to. It just seemed so not realistic for him to get on one of my beats. I was like, can you just say my tag for me? I just thought, like, him creating a whole song on one of my beats, like, that was just so far out of, like, my thought range. I don't know, like, but of course it was a goal. I would want that to happen. So he was like, is this really you? Is your page hacked? Like, I sent him a video of me asking again. I'm like, yeah, it's me. Like, can I please send you something? Because he was like, oh, send me some. Yeah, I had to send a video confirming, like, my page is not hacked.
Right.
As you heard for yourself, Little Cece claims that she met Drake through her high school female basketball team. as Drake was a quote-unquote fan of one of her high school age friends. I can't make this up. What grown man is interested in female high school basketball? There is no way around this one, Drake. You weren't interested in watching them play sports. You were interested in bringing these girls back home. There's no way you can convince me Drake is interested in a female high school basketball team for anything other than collecting young girls for his OVO freak-off parties. What's interesting is that Little Cece's first beat was made for Drake. Her first beat on a major artist song was Drake's Money in the Grave, and after meeting Drake, she was actually able to have a career in the industry and became a model. Now let's be honest with each other here. We all know how this girl got this beat placement. Now if we listen to what the last woman said, she claimed that Drake was recruiting high school girls from her school. Little Cece claims that Drake was a fan of a high school basketball player and was in her DMs. What more proof do we need? Drake does appear to be a certified PDF file. What's interesting is that Drake has been showing us signs of this since the beginning of his career. If we go back to Drake's breakout hit, Best I Ever Had, he confesses that he's into high school girls that are on the basketball team. The whole video for Best I Ever Had shows Drake as a high school basketball coach flirting with the girls on the team. It has been right in our faces since the beginning of his career. Now it seems that Drake didn't fall far from the tree, as it appears his father Dennis Graham was the one who showed Drake everything he knows. After the Drake and Kendrick beef kicked off, a woman posted this video on TikTok detailing an experience she had with Drake's father Dennis. This video uploaded by this woman shows a young woman being hugged on by Dennis Graham while she has a creeped out face on. According to this woman, this video was filmed right before she left Dennis home as he was getting too creepy for her. The story is that she was hanging out at a club in LA when a man approached her and invited her to attend one of Drake's parties. Her and her friends agreed, and when they got to Drake's home, it was not Drake's, but it was Drake's father's home, Dennis.
And while we're there, he's just being super handsy and weird. He said some really strange comments, which that's kind of what started leading us to be like, okay, this guy's odd. And clearly Drake's not coming. So we feel like we saw what we needed to see and we're ready to go. Well, it's just kind of his thing. And we were talking to someone about it and they're like, oh yeah, no, you never go to a party at Dennis's house. So I think it's just kind of an LA thing that we were just not aware of. But yeah.
As you heard for yourself, this woman claims Dennis was basically trying to recruit these girls less than half his age to be in some sort of freak-off. The women claim that Dennis made it difficult for the girls to leave, as his security wouldn't allow the Uber to pull up to the home. The girls were forced to walk out of the community in the dark, while Dennis's butler followed them around, trying to get them to get in the car. To me, all of this and what I said in the last video already suggests that Drake likes them young. All of his relationship with 18-year-olds that he was hanging out with when they were 14 and 15 says enough to me already. Like Kendrick said, Drake just might be a certified PDF file. All of this is more than enough proof that Drake was into them young, showing he wasn't as innocent as the world saw him. This permanently left a stain on Drake's reputation. Just like we saw with Diddy, after one person exposed him, many others came out the woodworks to expose him too. About a year ago now, I did an interview with an industry publicist named Jonathan Hay, who worked with Drake at some point. According to Hay, he believed Drake had him set up to be attacked at his own home. Drake did this after he became suspicious that Hay had revealed his secret about his son Pusha T. Drake found out that Hay was connected to Good Music through Sci-Hi the Prince, a ghostwriter for Good Music. When he realized this, he figured that Hay was who revealed that he had a son because he was connected to Drake's baby mother. I'm gonna play this part of the interview, but you can watch the full interview after this video with the link in the description.
But I was in a home invasion in 2017 and I was duct taped. I was pistol whipped. But it was after midnight and we were coming into my door and I was unlocking the door with the keys. And I felt her push me on the side to hurry, but I saw something running at me in the corner of my eyes. And at that point it was too late. It was two masked men, were pistol whipped from behind. And I was pushed into the door and she fell over top of me. And at first I was so startled because I didn't know, at first I really thought it was like my stepdad playing a joke or some kind of weird prank, that because I had my daughter out so late and we were coming home, but then it got real quick within seconds. And so they pushed me into a chair and they duct taped me where I couldn't see anything and all I could do was hear. And while I was in the chair, they kept looking for a safe with cash that I didn't have anymore. And my daughter, I didn't know if she was duct taped or not. I found out afterwards, like in interrogations with the police, that she wasn't duct taped because I couldn't see her. I just figured that she was. So for 2 hours, they would put like guns to my head, almost like Russian roulette, And I thought for sure at any time I was going to die. It was very traumatic. I was working with two people. I was working with Boosie Badass, and I was working with Drake. And I was working with Drake through a situation that I can't talk about so freely. But yes, I was involved in the situation with Drake that is out there really heavy in the media. So when she said that, because 3 people pled guilty.
Did Drake hire you directly, or was it Drake's baby mother?
It was Drake's baby mother. And then it was also when it's like she hires me and then I'm working for Drake and I'm dealing with his lawyer and stuff like that.
And I know you can, like you said, you can't release what
Both.
you were working with him for essentially.
Both.
But this is around what time? What year?
This was right when the home invasion, 2017.
2017, around that time. Okay.
April.
Okay, continue. Sorry about that. Just wanted
Yeah, so I was working with both.
All right.
But I never thought that, Drake, because as I said, 3 people pled guilty and went to prison. But weird things would keep happening with law enforcement. Weird things that were very powerful, right? That were unexplainable, because there was another person that for sure should have been indicted. And this other person was dating one of the people who went to prison. She was like public with it on her Facebook. And she was taunting. It was in a taunting way, right? And I could never figure out, because she had no power. But I was up against a powerful entity that kept like shutting it down. So I knew that I was dealing with something so powerful. And it's not like Drake would I don't think Drake would, contact somebody and say that. But it's his, like, he's so powerful and he generates so much money that, like I said, they have handlers, they have managers, they have lawyers, they have stuff. Somebody was doing something. Somebody connected to him for sure. So, but then something else happened. Somebody who watched the interview pointed out Drake's lyrics to the song. If you want to pull them up, you can.
N-word scared to come towards us, gotta run from us. Louisville, hush money for my young gunners.
Okay, let's stop there. There. The Louisville hush money. I was in Louisville. That's very far from Toronto or anything else I had. It's a small town, Louisville, Kentucky. And he says, Louisville. Well, what does he say after that?
Hush money for my young gunners.
And the hush money would be probably the situation with his baby mama. Was you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he says the gunners. It was an armed robbery.
Yeah.
And then he says,
pick Patinos. I take them to strip clubs and casinos. Stack of C notes. Get all your N-words scratched like Primo.
So getting scratched, obviously he's getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
The strippers are, and the casinos are, when I gave him my debit cards, because we're just trying to survive. And so I gave him like my right PIN number.
Yeah.
And my credit card, because I remember the police were like, well, why would you do that? Because I'm thinking, well, maybe he's going to go right down the street in St. Matthews and make sure that the PIN number works. And so then he's going to come back and tell us, because there was 2 people in there.
Exactly.
Right? So they took it and it worked. They went to a strip club, which was so stupid because they're on camera using my card. That's how they got their ID. And then they went across the bridge to the casino.
Yeah, and look, don't get me wrong. I expose artists all the time, and Drake is one of the artists that I've spent a lot of time on investigating. And when the whole XXX Tentacion situation happened, no one can prove he had any involvement in it or not. But it was the same thing as this. It's like he wanted people to believe he was involved with the lyrics that he had. He had specific lyrics that were targeting X and almost like bragging about taking him out, whether he had something to do with it or not.
Exactly.
But he definitely is a clever man, and he is the type of person who does everything, hidden. He sneak disses. It's the way he operates. He doesn't address it directly. He likes to sneak this. He likes to add little coded terms and coded messages. And like you said, in that interview, I heard you state that you were working with his baby mom.
Mm-hmm.
He, for some reason, believed that you were involved in that information about Adonis, his son, being leaked. And maybe it's the reason why a person like Drake would be upset at a publicist like you, who was the one that the label was working with or his management was working with. And who knows, he could have 100% made a call and got something like this done. I wouldn't put it past Drake.
He could have, but I think it's exactly what you said. And I'm glad you said that and pointed that out, because it's been like, jarring my head since you said that. Not only Drake, but other powerful people, because I was up against a powerful entity for sure. Like, I think it's the latter, because Louisville hush money, like, that's he doesn't have Louisville hush money anywhere else. And I'm not saying that he gave me, Louisville hush money. I don't want to say that, but people can kind of come to the conclusion. But Louisville hush money is very straightforward, and coming with guns and then doing something and then going to strip club and casino, which is exactly where they went. And the police thought they were so stupid to go to a strip club and a casino. Right. So it's all very strange. And I think he was mad probably because I was blamed for the Pusha T thing, and that was like immediate. That was like after that happened, with this baby mama, because the relationship is, I was working with Saha the Prince forever. Saha the Prince is like Kanye West's main writer. If you look up Saha the Prince, his real name is Sidell Young. And if you look at Kanye, a lot of Kanye West's writing credits are from Sidell Young. He was signed to Good Music and he worked directly under Pusha T. And Saha the Prince has been like my friend and somebody I've worked with for over 10 years, right? At the point. Yeah. So people thought that because nobody else knew that she was pregnant with Drake's baby, right? And so, and all the information that came out in the Pusha T diss, a lot of people felt that that was me from telling Saha, who told Pusha T. And I can tell you the honest to God truth, just as I told them, I never told Pusha T one thing about it. I mean, I never told Saha the Prince one thing about it. We never even talked about it. We've never even had conversations like that. We would just collaborate on stuff. Like, it wasn't like he was a friend, but he's not somebody that I'm going to confide in. I don't even think
a business friend.
Yeah. I don't think he knew about the home invasion. We never talked about it. Right. So they just assumed, because it's like, where did this information come from?
So
maybe Drake, when he was dropping that Sandra Rose album, and that's the Scorpion album cover behind me, where the Sandra Rose album is. I mean, what the Sandra Rose song is, maybe that was him letting me know, like,
showing his power. No, I get exactly what you're saying. And if for the audience, as I already explained earlier in the video, the pattern is there. It all lines up perfectly. If Drake possibly thought you were the only person with this information, or, the only person that could have leaked this information, in his mind, I see it intimidation towards you, a way to say, you did something I don't like, now you're going to pay for it. Did it happen after or before?
I was working with Drake during when it happened.
Okay, so and then the information was leaked.
The Pusha T disc came out after, 3-4 months afterwards.
3-4 months afterwards. But there was talks maybe behind the scene or something, correct?
Correct.
Okay. To me, I personally, and a lot of people on this channel have seen that these artists, they operate on their own set of rules. And then they do specific things like this, where they will taunt you. They will say things, because even with the Drake, with the X situation, where he had lyrics about giving Louis bags full of money for body bags, and Triple X Tentacion, when he passed away, he had a Louis bag in his car, and that's what the people who took him out basically took from him, And people looked at that, and to this day. And then also in the music video that he did with Travis Scott for Sicko Mode, there's actually a moment, they took time to do this. There's a person that they dressed up as Triple X Tentacion, and then they show Drake coming down on a meteor, crushing him. So, and this is after he's done. This is after he passed away. And you can go look up the video. I can give you the timestamp. You slow down the video, you see Drake coming down and crushing him. And he done repeatedly, even in his recent album or an album or two ago, he was still kicking the dead horse, essentially, still trying to take responsibility for it. And then when lawyers were trying to bring Drake in to question him about the situation and question him why he had these type of lyrics, the lawyer who was defending one of the persons who were responsible for taking out X, he claimed that Drake was the one who hired them to do the job. Now, the other two denied it, but his lawyer tried to push that, my client is saying this, Drake is over here bragging about it in his raps. So there's 100% a possibility. And from what you're saying, he could have seen you definitely as a target.
This wasn't the only industry insider who exposed Drake. This industry stylist also came out and accused Drake of not being who he seems to be. She claimed Drake was into some very dark things, and she paid the price for it, going as far as accusing Drake of being a Satanist.
American dream is working hard, creating a family and building from ground up and giving back and spreading light and love. It is not that have never achieved, but they sell their soul and now they're getting played by the strings like puppets to mind control society. That is not the American dream. I'm sorry to inform you. So shout out to everyone doing right. And if you have a problem with me exposing your fades that could not beat me in a test of intelligence, I mean, hey, that's your business, not mine. And nobody is going to check me because everybody and their mama know my mouth is too smart and it's too quick and my mind is too sharp. And I will flip the script on you quick. I'm a tax-paying, hard-working citizen with accolades. They're not. They're fuckers. Remember how Wayfair was selling the things with the names of the kids? There are millions of kids being trafficked each year, and the elite are using them in rituals, using their blood. They are using them for entertainment. They have Hunger Games that they do, where they send kids into the woods. They have kids do things to each other that they should be doing. They have kids doing things with animals. This is what the inside source of the Illuminati told me. And she's seen it. She's seen it happen. I had to change the subject because it is just a hard truth for a passionate mother like myself. I mean, I'm in my right mind to go find them. She's given me names of people I've been around, people whose house I've been to, people who have been to my house, people who have been around my son, who know that these things are happening and who even participate in them, y'all. I couldn't tell you, man, I couldn't tell you guys what the emotion is that I'm feeling. It's past anger. It is best I stay in my house because if I ever see any one of these people, I'm going straight to jail. I'm not dealing with a certified lover boy. I'm dealing with a certified narcissist, sociopathic, murderous, psycho.
As you can see, Drake isn't who he appears to be. He has a sinister side, a side that I believe is connected to his occult ties. Drake liking them young isn't the only evil thing this guy's up to, as Drake is deeply involved in the occult. Drake openly shows he's sold out by using occult hand gestures and branding himself with occult symbols. In this photo, early on, Drake could be seen doing the one-eye symbolism. As you can see in the photo, he's placing the OK hand gesture over one of his eyes. This is a reference to the Eye of Horus, a prominent symbol adopted by many occult organizations like the Freemasons, OTO, and Thelema. Drake, just like Eminem, placed hints that he sold his soul all throughout his music. In Drake's song Sneaking, Drake himself admits that he's satanic, rapping in the first verse, "This is all God's doing, man, you can't plan it. But if the devil's in the details, then I'm satanic."
This is all God's doing, man, you can't plan it. But if the devil's in the details, then I'm satanic.
Drake has hidden his occult ties in his literal branding. This is where things get deep. See, there's way more to Drake's label being called OVO and his use of the owl logo. This is the real reason he calls himself the Sixth God. This owl symbol is a prominent occult symbol. It represents the pagan deity named Moloch, an ancient evil fallen god that demanded child sacrifices. This owl is called the Owl of Manivra, and it's a representation of Moloch. The same owl Drake uses for the mascot of his OVO record label, which also just so happens to be at the center of the Bohemian Grove ritual. Everyone sub to this channel should know by now what the Bohemian Grove is. For those who don't know, it's a private camp retreat for the elite. The elite of the world meet up at this camp yearly to decide who will be the next president. They also came up with the atomic bomb at the Bohemian Grove. You can look that up. On top of planning what's going to happen next at the Bohemian Grove, the elite all participate in a mock sacrifice ritual in front of a massive owl statue that represents Moloch, the same exact owl Drake used for his logo. On top of this, the real reason Drake uses the letter OVO for his record label, it is because it's a play on the name of a secret society that's called OTO, Order Templi Orientis, which also used the Owl of Manivra as an occult symbol of enlightenment. Drake doesn't call himself the Sixth God because of Toronto. He calls himself that because he's deep into the occult, and they believe 666 is the number of man becoming God. They do this because this is what the occult teaches them. They believe that man is God, and through rituals, they could unlock godlike enlightenment. While Drake sold his soul to make it to the top, showing blind loyalty to the elite, eventually, the elite turned their back on him, choosing to sacrifice him and replace him with Kendrick. Ever since the media announced Drake was suing his record label, there has been a lot of discussion behind this. On one hand, people think it's ridiculous that Drake is suing his label because he lost a beef. But on the other hand, people are rallying behind Drake because they agree with him exposing his record label for trying to take advantage of him. Either way you see it, I'm here to tell you that in a way, both sides are right. Drake is only suing UMG because of this beef. But
he is also exposing them for setting this beef up in the first place. I was probably the first person to say this entire beef was fake beef orchestrated by the record labels. On April 16, 2024, I made this video where I broke down why I knew this beef was orchestrated by the record labels to fabricate it themselves. This beef between Drake and Kendrick is 100% staged, a last-ditch desperate effort to save hip-hop before it's too late. Everything about this beef lets you know it's fake from beginning to end. When I dropped this video, many people were accusing me of being a Drake fan, even though I have made several videos exposing Drake for the exact thing Kendrick Lamar called him out for. People also accused me of not knowing what I was talking about, with several people saying that not everything is a conspiracy. But now, thankfully, the truth is coming out, and what I was saying back then should make more sense to people. This beef was clearly staged from the beginning. While back then I thought Drake was also involved in setting this fake beef up, now it seems that Drake didn't know, because this was designed with the goal of destroying his reputation. Most people simply won't understand why this is a fake beef. That's exactly what the record labels are hoping takes place. They want the fans to say Drake is just bitter and that there's nothing there. But here's an oversimplified explanation to all of this. UMG wanted Drake to re-sign to their label, but didn't want to pay Drake what he was asking for. It was rumored that Drake wanted up to $600 million, but UMG wanted to give him a lot less. The only problem is, they knew Drake wasn't going to agree to re-sign for less money than his last deal. They also knew that Drake was a massive star that all other labels would have paid top dollar to have him on their roster. They knew that if they told Drake no, they wouldn't give him all that money. He would just leave to another label, or even worse, go independent. So they came up with this beef that was truly an ultimate solution to their problem. This beef was actually a genius plan by the labels, and I'll tell you why. See, UMG is actually the label that both Kendrick and Drake are signed to. In fact, Kendrick signed a new deal with UMG days before he released his Euphoria diss track. We will get more into that later though. Since UMG owned both of these artists, they made tons of money from the beef off the top, as they're getting royalties of both Drake records and Kendrick's records. But when you look even deeper, things become even more sinister. Since the label wanted to sign Drake for a lesser amount than he wanted, UMG knew that if Drake had taken a serious hit to his reputation before the negotiation, he wouldn't be in a good place to demand that big of a deal. So they orchestrated this beef that was rigged since the start to embarrass Drake and destroy his reputation. The beef did just that, as Kendrick called Drake a PDF file and ruined his reputation. This is the genius level thinking right here. They knew that once Kendrick won the beef, not only would Drake lose his value, but Kendrick would increase in value, as now Kendrick would be seen as the new king of hip-hop, which would only make them more money because they just signed a new deal with Kendrick. This is exactly what happened when Kendrick dropped his album and oversold. They literally used Kendrick to steal Drake's value, giving it to Kendrick. If Drake now chooses to decline UMG's offer, they know other labels won't offer much now either, because Kendrick just ruined Drake's reputation and he seems like a liability now. This is why he is suing UMG, because he claims they rigged the beef to make him lose. You may be saying how if Kendrick made a hit diss song, also telling yourself, people just like his song better. Again, that's what the labels want you to think. This is seriously much deeper than most people can understand because it's music industry talk. According to Drake, UMG controlled the perspective of the beef. He claimed the label paid for bots to make the song Not Like Us look like it's performing better than it did by inflating the numbers. Most fans are simply followers that like whatever other people like. If they see something with a lot of views, it might influence them to like it too. Drake also accused the labels of paying influencers to make videos to the Not Like Us song, again influencing fans to like the songs. Labels know that influencers could shape the narrative, so paying influencers to make videos about the song on TikTok, having them do dances to it, is only going to make the song appear bigger and like more people like it. Drake also claims that the streaming platforms like Spotify and Tidal were incentivized to allow botting on Kendrick's song and to be placed on all the top playlists. Drake also claims they failed to market his songs in the same way, allowing Kendrick to have the unfair advantage and appear like the winner just off the numbers alone. Then, with all the influencers and media personalities hyping up the song, they made sure to make Not Like Us appear like the bigger song. Trust me, This is how music works. A lot of the hype behind people's favorite songs are all orchestrated. The labels have to give the songs a push to get people to be interested. Drake now claims in the lawsuit that Kendrick's new deal with UMG specifically added that Kendrick would beef with Drake. This is why Kendrick didn't respond to Drake for several days after Drake officially kicked off the beef. Kendrick was used as a puppet to take down Drake. Kendrick literally got paid to do it. Now honestly, this is not about whose song was better or not. It's about the labels being corrupt and evil. Whether you want to believe it or not, this beef was fake and orchestrated by the labels. Yes, Kendrick won, but Drake never had a shot at winning. The labels wanted to devalue Drake just like they did to Michael Jackson. Think about it. Michael and Drake had the same allegations made against them, but while the label was making money off of them and they had a good relationship, they defended these artists no matter what. If anyone had called Drake a PDF file, UMG would have destroyed their career because Drake was their property, and if an artist called Drake out and ruined his reputation, they would lose millions. Same thing with Michael. At first, they defended him, and then they exposed him when they had beef with him. Then after he died and they owned his catalog again, they cleaned his reputation up and pushed him as the biggest artist again. I myself believe that Drake might be into them young, but I also believe the labels knew this the whole time, but they chose to hide it and keep it as leverage and blackmail to keep these artists in check, just like they did to Michael before he died, and like they're doing to Drake right now. Drake is definitely a target right now. That is obvious. I honestly don't see this ending well for Drake. This lawsuit didn't go as Drake hoped, as just months after the lawsuit was filed, the judge dismissed the entire thing, throwing out the lawsuit and making Drake look like an even bigger loser. His attempt at taking on the label fell short, and in the eyes of the public, Kendrick had won once again. But in reality, his label had just showed Drake how powerful they truly were. How even if Drake spoke out, they still can shape the narrative and destroy his career. The label proved they made Drake the biggest rap star, and they also took it all away, now choosing to crown Kendrick their new king. As you can see, Drake's downfall wasn't only because of Kendrick's diss song, but also because the man he chose to be. Just like we saw with Diddy, Drake let the power get to his head. He also involved himself in the occult to make it to the next level, which consumed him. Drake sold his soul long ago only for the devil to turn his back on him, showing that at the end of it all, even with all the success, he was still just a disposable puppet, with the devil trading him for the next biggest star to sell lies, like we are seeing with Kendrick Lamar. In fact, the next video might be a deep dive like this one into Kendrick Lamar's price for fame. If that's something you would like to see, comment Kendrick Lamar below. While Drake was the biggest, now he's just another Hollywood monster that got exposed. Well, that's it for this video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.